existing.
Yeah, God existing is weird. But like, you know, I feel like they could be cool. Like they go to a universe where essentially they aren't the strongest, and they're essentially like regular people in comparison to them, and they have to get stronger. They have to just become better, and you actually get an arc where they aren't just mopping people all the time.
That's why I always prefer like at least I prefer the Frieza saga in that point because it was so much of a strategy game going on there, like around the
Yes,
entire planet.
they needed strategy. They couldn't just run in and start fighting.
Like you legit couldn't remember the time where Vegeta went up against Zarbon and used sand as a defensive option just to catch him off guard. Now it's just him shooting ki blast at somebody hoping he'll hit him.
Yeah, it's that's something I really like about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. They always come up with the most complicated plan to beat
Yes,
an
like
enemy.
something
Exactly,
that
yes.
you don't think a normal
It's
person
never
could
simple.
do, and yet they somehow managed to do it. It's just like,
Yeah, it's wild.
That is at least one JoJo game I do actually very much enjoy is Eyes of Heaven. I think that's the name of it for the
yeah,
PS4. That one's actually a really good one. It's like with all the characters' differences being their stand, it's really good to play every single one of the characters just to see how they work.
Yeah, anime fighting games. Oh, not fighting games, but just video games in general. But speaking of anime fighting games, I really, would just want like a Smash Bros. Equivalent anime fighting game, specifically, Shonen Jump, and just like Smash Bros. Maybe eventually they could like start bringing in characters from other publications. But like, I feel like in my mind, the first character that I always use as like the base character that I'm like, how should this game play, is Luffy, and I do that by going, okay. So essentially, in my mind, it's hard to explain,
Min Min.
but he will be able to use like I'm thinking Mortal Kombat. You know how you can enhance attacks in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
When a One Piece character that knows how to use hockey enhances his attack, it like he covers it in hockey.
Oh,
But
okay, I got what you
also,
again.
but also because anime is about transformations, almost every character would have some type of transformation, most likely multiple, because like in every anime, every character has multiple transformation. And with Luffy, his different transformations would give him access to different abilities. Like, what is it? Gear 2 would make him faster. Gear 3 would make his attacks give them wider range. I mean, not longer range, but wider range because he blows himself up. But also, it would do more damage because it's heavier, like stuff like that. Whereas, like, like with Goku and Vegeta, because theirs aren't like they just their hair color just changes and they just get stronger and faster. That's what theirs would do. They transform and they just get a general speed and attack boost, like stuff like that.
I
I feel
guess
like
in
could be
their
cool.
case they would be like Hero from Super Smash Bros. Only like the the specific moves they use would actually drain their energy, and they would have to use like say like a down special just to get that energy back. And depending on what kind of transformation they're using is how fast the energy will drain.
Yeah, like yeah. I'm just thinking a game that's based around transformations, and naturally they would drain away, but and then you could recharge them and transform again. Like stuff like that would be really cool.
Yeah, we could definitely use another Shonen Jump crossover. It'd be much better than what our
let's
other
not
one
jump.
was recently.
Yeah,
We're not talking about that one. Anyway, we're gonna talk about something else that isn't a disappointment. Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about other games that are like actually like coming out like next year or maybe
Right, of
longer.
course. Yes. Yeah.
Like I think definitely my most excited game that's coming out next year is God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, that would have to be for me
Who knows?
too. That and
It could
Spider-Man
be great.
2. Those are the two I'm gonna hope for. I'm like, just
Yeah,
gonna
but
wait to see.
that's not coming out for a minute.
Yeah.
But Ragnarok is slated for next year. It could get delayed, but I hope it doesn't. Um, I think if I'm not mistaken, Suicide Squad is also supposed to be coming out next year, and I'm really excited for that. They
Oh
showed
yeah.
gameplay.
Oh
They
yeah, I
showed
hadn't
game
heard much of that one.
at the Game Awards, and that gameplay looks good. I've been excited since the first trailer, but this gameplay really sold me on it.
Ah,
Arkham Knights, honestly not as excited for Gotham Knights as I am Suicide Squad because, again, it's kind of RPG-ish, and I'm not big in RPGs. I'm just not. So whenever I see any type of RPG elements in a game, I immediately go, eh. But also, Spider-Man and Wolverine, of course, but those are way out.
Right.
And there's a Wonder Woman game coming out soon. Well, not soon. That's also way out. That was just
Oh yeah,
announced.
yeah, that was just announced. Wait, there was the other game coming out from Dimps, Dragon Ball Breakers.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, I
one,
forgot.
I must say, is something. I'm gonna say it's something. Yeah, in
It
my
looks
opinion, what it looks like is a kind of game that you would enjoy if you actually had friends, and only if you had friends.
Yeah,
Um,
this is the type of game you can play by yourself.
yeah, that kind of Dead by Daylight kind of game where
Yeah.
instead of instead of killing one person, you have the chance of killing all of them at once if they're sitting on the same area. Um, at least because me and Craig talked about this a lot. What we hope for this game is that they don't just keep the three characters as main ones. Like, hopefully they add more ones, kind of like they do with Dead by Daylight and Jason's costumes and stuff. Like
Yeah.
we had been hoping like Goku Black and Zamasu and say what was the other one we were thinking about before? What other characters?
Jack.
Probably like the
Bojack.
androids, probably like 17 and 18,
Right,
16.
right. Them. Definitely not Bojack.
Definitely
Did
not
not cross
BoJack.
our mind.
Piccolo Senior.
Yeah, I was thinking about him and just recently, and I was thinking about how like actually gathering the Dragon Balls would be imperative for him to transform. Because
Super angry.
they did say Raiders had the possibility of using the Dragon Balls themselves. So
Fearless.
so yeah, say like King Piccolo, or if they put Slug for
Ooh,
some reason, yeah, they would be
Janemba.
good characters.
Janemba. He
Janemba.
starts off gigantic,
Hey yo.
Oh, that'd be hilarious, actually.
and then you have to like transform into like Super Janemba.
The regular
Janemba.
characters just reload into the game and just see nothing but yellow till they look up. They're like, oh.
What was that monster from that Dragon Ball movie where Trunks got his sword?
Oh, Wrath of the Dragon. It's Wrath.
The
Harudagon.
Harudagon? The
Harudagon is the
Harudagon.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were thinking about that one too. Though, knowing Dimps, I don't know that they can do big characters. At least in
So Dragon Ball
at least
fighting
them.
games used to be wild. I forgot how wild Dragon Ball fighting games used to be. You legit used to be able to play as characters like the Harudagon and grade 8 Saiyans. Like you could play as gigantic
Right.
characters versus
That was.
small characters.
Oh yeah, that was Budokai Tenkaichi 3. You can
Yeah, you
legit
could
play
play
as
as like
anybody.
Baby in his like grade 8 form.
The only negative I ever had with those kinds of games was, well, same problem. They all play exactly the same. But in Budokai Tenkaichi's 3 sense, like in their defense, it's more like taking some toys and just bashing them together, like you're just
Yeah.
having fun. And that is still the appeal you have on it. It can still be fun. In my opinion, it's still fun. But with Xenoverse 2, it's, it's disgusting. I cannot care for that game anymore.
When they keep doing that over and over again, it gets
Yeah,
tiring at one
it
point.
gets
Like,
stale.
okay, I want something
And then
more.
you
I
go to
want
Jump Force, and it feels like the same stuff over and over. Which makes
yeah,
me worried about the next One Piece game being made by Spike. I don't really want them to make it. I've
yeah.
heard rumors that it's A, going to be made by Spike, and B, going to be like an RPG, and C, going to have created characters. And
Both those two
t-
things are not bad.
two of those three things, I have a very negative uh, experience on. Not saying it's going to be bad automatically, but I'm just saying based on experience, it's not. I have very low expectations.
Like, I'll agree with you that Spike doing the game, it might not be good. I will I
It
will
will
I will
definitely not be good.
I will I will agree with you on that, but I'm going to be real. The one game I feel like that had potential being an RPG in terms of One Piece was Romance Dawn. I
Yeah,
feel like
honestly, I
there
wish there was a
was,
sequel to that.
yeah, because that's the other thing with the game that we were talking about earlier. That if there's like something similar to that,
Right,
because
yeah. At least in their combat, especially for an RPG, it was much more innovative than I thought it was. And that was just
yeah,
for, what was it? The PSP and the 3DS. It was just for those consoles.
yeah, it's like I don't think that me personally, I just don't think that RPG elements or character creator would be bad. I, actually, fucking, I kind of do want a character creator for One Piece. I'm going to be
Yeah,
real.
I do too, honestly.
I'm probably the only person in this room that probably defies character creators. But
It
The
I'll let you
thing
guys
depends
have
on
this
is,
how you
conversation.
do it.
yeah, like there are games with some really good character creators that like the thing about like that's it's weird. It's both. It was both not as good as I thought it was gonna be, but also like a good example is Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Like Cyberpunk is the
Well,
type of
okay,
game
yeah.
where creating your own character, like the story still works no matter what type of character you create or what they look like, or like Saints Row. Like that's another good example. Speaking of which, there's a new Saints Row coming out next year. But like, um, yeah, like we create a character. It's very expansive on what you can do to create that character, and also, it's it doesn't like negatively affect the game. Like everything that was wrong with Cyberpunk didn't necessarily have to do with the character created. Character creator was one of the good parts of that game. Even though
Yeah,
even then I still feel like the character creator was a little disappointing from what they said it was gonna be, but it was
well,
still not bad.
I kind of figured it was gonna be way more in depth in what you
Oh
can
yeah. I was so disappointed.
the
They made it
body
seem like
type, like
like
everything.
the best character creator I ever experienced was in the um WWE games.
Yeah, Eric, I was about to mention that. Eric,
Yeah,
I was about
I
to
was
mention
gonna
that.
agree with
You
that
really
actually also.
you, you can basically adjust your individual ass cheeks in those games. Like
You're
that's how
Honestly.
yeah, that's how in depth the character creator is in the WWE games. And I want like a game
same
like
with
Cyber.
Cyberpunk. Give a woman a
You can do that,
penis.
Hey,
but you can't adjust your cheeks.
Yeah, you can't. If you wanted to make your girl dummy thick, you can't really do that.
Hopefully in a new Saints Row you can in older ones because I will.
yeah, also bringing up.
You already know.
There's that new 2K22 that's coming out next year too.
Right, yeah, there's that. I had to see more of that one so I can
Those
figure
come
out what I'm
out-
gonna
those-
expect from that.
They definitely really upgraded gameplay and graphics wise because freaking. I'm sorry, WWE 20 was a massacre. It was a complete disaster.
Im-
When it comes to like the CACs and like literally the whole game crashing in the middle of making your characters to can't put that many custom characters in the game for it to crash. Too many damn glitches. The characters like in the ring will sometimes be bugged like either through the ropes, they will phase inside the ring. Most cases the characters just are not even there in general.
really feel it's that bad that it almost feels like we don't have to address it anymore.
Yeah.
At least
So that's
hopefully.
I mean
So
that's what now I think like they actually stepped up their bar with this one that's coming out soon,
Hmm.
especially with the first release trailer they had with Rey Mysterio, and it was really great.
Oh. Well,
any
my
guys
only issue with character creators isn't the fact that it will affect the gameplay. That's not my biggest worry at all. My worry with character creators is that they affect the story really, because
yeah.
I'm sure you've seen it, especially with some. And I'm putting quotations up here because I'm speaking on like One Punch Man. You have those characters, like you have actual characters talking to you like somehow they've been your buddy for years, and not even saying
Yeah,
that they
get
say that they
me.
call you buddy, like Sonic Forces, but like, you have the character creator kind of just looking at the other character with no expression, just a blank face, and he just throws his arm around as a sign of explanation. It it kills the vibe for me
And they
when I
just
look at
like
this stuff.
nod. They
Yeah, that's why
nod,
Yeah,
like
making the
games like
same expression.
Saints Row and Cyberpunk, like the character you create, they have voice lines.
yeah,
Like
exactly. That's where
and
it has the plus up for me.
you
Like
can
Yeah,
every
choose.
single one of them, they have voice lines, and it honestly amazes me that their budget was on that level.
I think if I remember,
There's-
If it
This is
wasn't Saints Row 2, I think if it wasn't the first Saints Row, it was the second one where they was in the elevator with Johnny Gat, and like I remember Johnny Gat said he's gonna like skull miss this girl, and then your cousin character's like, oh, you can get hepatitis C, and it's like, wait, huh? He wasn't expecting your character to actually say a line like that or just say a line in general.
like
That's,
yeah. Um, but like I did want to talk about that new Saints Row game. Did any of you guys play any of the older ones? Because I used to play Saints Row 3 a lot, and I played a
I
little bit of
Yeah, it
4
was
too.
I
3 and 4 that I
I also
played.
played all of 4. Yeah, I played all of 4 and all of 3. Actually, no, I didn't play all of 3, but I played all of 4 and I played most of 3, and I played a little bit of 2. I've never played the first one.
I kind of
Um,
I kind of stopped playing in the middle, like after 3, because I guess from my perspective wise, it kind of didn't really follow up to like the style of Saints Row, which is really was supposed to be like this kind of low budget GTA in a way. It just started getting all futuristic like, and then you got Get Out of Hell, and you shooting aliens and all. I don't know. I guess for me, it didn't feel
Three
like
is my favorite.
Saints Row to me. It just felt like some other game that was embroidered into this criminal type game.
Yeah, the thing for me though is that Saints Row 3 is my favorite one, and I feel like that's where it made a name for itself. Before that, I feel like it wasn't. It was like too much like GTA. It was just straight up a GTA clone. But with Saints Row 3, it made its own identity, and with Saints Row 4, it took it way too far. But with
Yeah.
the new Saints Row, it seems like they're going back to what Saints Row 3 was, and there isn't like aliens or things like that, but there still are like futuristic like jets and weapons
Yeah,
and stuff like
that's
that.
what I meant. I was kind of using like as like a reference, but like it's just something that you wouldn't expect from a game like Saints Row.
Yeah, like I enjoyed the goofiness of the third one, whereas the fourth one, I think it was fun to play, but I think it took it too far. I mean, God of the Hell was just ridiculous, but
Yeah.
I think that the new one, it looks cool. It got delayed, which is good. That just means they're going to be working longer on it and making it better, so that's cool. But
That's
the
all I
only
can
thing
hope
I
for when a
didn't
game gets delayed.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't like about it is that, and they specify it several times, is that no of characters, because it's a reboot, no characters from the original series are going to be in it. And my question is just, well, why? There, I
Why?
don't. There's like, I don't think there's a good reason for that. It's like this series was built on those characters. There's no reason not to at least have a cameo. But they specifically say straight up that they will not be in the game at all. Not a reference, not a cameo, nothing. It's all new characters, and I'm
Mm.
not gonna lie to you, they all look boring. But at least you can create your own character, so at least maybe your character will be interesting. But that's just from the little I've seen. Maybe I'm hoping it'll be good because the gameplay looks fun. Like it looks as fun as this third game was. So I'm interested. They showed another gameplay trailer at the Game Awards that showed even more of the gameplay. That was pretty cool. I also
I
want to
never
say that
really saw that.
Cyberpunk. We were talking about character creators, and that's how we got
Oh,
it here.
right.
Like, yeah. But on that note, like Cyberpunk, there's a good game in there. They just need more time, and I'm waiting for them to get to the point to where they're like, okay, this is the game we originally wanted to make before like the studio like essentially forced us to release it early. Like this is the game we wanted to make. Once it gets to that point, I will play the game. Once it gets to a point to where it's actually a finished game.
I just kind of wish that it didn't even get to that point, especially with how long the game was in development for and how many times they like practically remade the game.
It wasn't in development for as long as you think.
I
It was in
mean,
development for like 4 years and or 5, but the 10 years that people think it was in development for, it was they weren't even working on it. They were still working on The Witcher 3 and talking about working on Cyberpunk, but they never actually started working on the game. And then when they did finally start working on the game, they didn't nearly have enough time to finish it. Like if they actually had that 10 years to make the game, it would have been finished and more.
right.
But like a lot of people like think that they had all that time to work on the game. They didn't. And that's why the game wasn't finished. Like people like for a minute, like for a while, and it's changed now. Thankfully, people were always afraid when games got delayed after what happened with Cyberpunk because
Right.
they thought that that meant that the game was going to end up like Cyberpunk was. But in reality, when a game's getting delayed, that's usually a good thing. Like when Halo got delayed, that was a good thing because Halo looked like
Yeah.
shit when they first
Yeah,
revealed it,
really.
and now a
Yeah.
year later, the game is amazing. What else got delayed? Miles Morales got delayed. That game was great. Last of Us got delayed. That game was great. Like most games that I played that get delayed are eventually good. But that one was one to where it got delayed because the developers weren't giving the higher ups weren't giving the developers what they needed to make a good game. They
Exactly.
weren't
And
giving
what was the situation again
um,
where they was it the developers for Cyberpunk had to just get the game out at one point?
they were being overworked. They weren't being given enough time to make the game work, and they weren't really being paid of the right amount of money to do all that work. Essentially
Yeah.
mismanagement.
Well, just the I guess the fact that people see a game get delayed, they they used to assume that something was wrong, and they're gonna expect it to come out full game and something's gonna be wrong. But I really I think it was just a one time thing with Cyberpunk where
Yeah, it
it
was a
was
one
just a
time,
big mistake all around.
and it's changed a lot. Like people no longer immediately think that like Cyberpunk is the blueprint for all bad games. It was
Right.
just like it was just one very specific instance that has happened before, but hasn't happened often enough for us to be afraid every time a game gets delayed. But like
Yeah.
I said, people aren't afraid like they used to be, like when it first happened.
We kind of
Yeah. I
just
feel.
brought on this with the character creator thing, but I'm just gonna end it by saying really all I hope for is that it's not bad. Just at least bring it up more where it should be. And I'm not speaking in the sense of other very specific games that clearly have a better budget than the ones I'm thinking of, but just the anime games specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At least character creators that are more a bit more in depth in
Don't look like
how to make
lifeless
the
dolls.
character. Yeah, and don't just act like
Right.
very cookie cutter, like basic animations, no facial expressions, shit like that.
I know there's limited resources or limited budget to allow the voice actors to, you know, have more lines,
I
but
feel like
you know,
I
you
feel like
just
you could probably get away with a silent protagonist
they got to be like
and
Link.
like
Link is very emotive. Link, despite being a silent character, he's very emotive, and you could like tell what he's thinking
right.
when you're like in a cutscene in Breath of the Wild. Like you can see what you can kind of tell what he's thinking just by his body movement.
At least one anime game I've seen that actually does character creator well, and this is me, sucking the hoo-ha of, the game that I'm talking about, is Captain Tsubasa, Rise of New Champions. And I'm not sure that I'm not sure if I brought this up before, but Craig definitely knows about this since I bring it up with him, but is, I think there are like a total of 15 voice options for a character, and I'm not quite sure of the conditions that you do this on, but so far when I choose the America route, if you do so well, as in like double the triple S ranks for each match that you pull in, there's the final match scene where before the match starts, your character creator has an entire scene where they give an entire speech. And this is for 15 voices. So for for that to for that to be in that, especially for how the game looks, which is quite beautiful, I think that honestly was impressive that they managed to pull that off. And I like to see that with every other game. At least just have them have one scene of full dialogue. That is my end statement.
So, I wanted to ask, like, for people who've played Halo, like, what's your favorite like game mode and like map to play on?
Is
I
this
will
speaking on
say,
Halo Infinite?
Yeah,
uh, I was gonna say, if it was any other Halo game, I would say SWAT because SWAT just felt very satisfying to just constantly get headshots, and especially depending on the weapon, like if it was like the battle rifle or the DMR or like sometimes even the Magnum, like just something about SWAT was just super. It activated the dopamine in my brain. Like it was very fun to shoot people, but that's not in Halo Infinite yet. So I feel like the only game mode that I honestly truly like is just straight up Slayer.
I would have to say Slayer as well.
Yeah. I like Stronghold a lot. Stronghold's fun to me. Specifically on I can't remember. I don't think I know the name of any of the maps, but I don't even know how to describe this map. Like there's a map where there's like a and at one of the like strongholds, I think it's at B. It's at B. There's like a hole where people hide in that you can go around the back and go in and kill people when they're hiding there. I don't know the name of the map, but I really like Stronghold. There's one map that I hate. And maybe you guys know it. It's like a gigantic map where that's shaped like a U. There's like a giant gap in the middle. You guys know what map I'm
Oh,
talking about?
wait, no, I think I know the map you're talking about. I think I only went there once though, not my
That
entire
map
time playing.
sucks. I hate it. It's so big for no reason. And
Yeah, I think I remember getting myself lost in there a couple of times. I couldn't find
any
anybody.
type of flag on that map sucks.
I think the one map I do not like is launch site, especially when it's a one flag CTF
Oh, yeah.
and
No.
the enemy team camps so hard.
That's honestly
It
my second least favorite mode in that.
Yeah, one flag CTF is ass. I'm going to be honest with you, it's ass. Like I kind of hate it worse than on at least with oddball. Like yeah, sure, someone will camp with the oddball while his like team's defending him or whatever. But
Wow, I haven't even gotten that. The thing with Oddball is like people just do not play the game when I'm playing it. It's like whenever we get on
yeah,
Oddball, everybody just tries to shoot at each other. That either gives me the option to pretty much pick up the ball and win the game for us, or someone else does, and I end up going through one competition only.
Yeah, the last time I also enjoyed Oddball on that same map that I enjoy. And yeah, most of the people I play with, they actually go for the ball. It would suck if I played for a team that didn't went for the ball. That would suck so
Man,
much.
it's unpleasant. I'll tell you that much. It's
I'm
unpleasant.
I'm gonna be real. I played a game maybe like a week or two ago with my cousin, and we played Capture the Flag. Um, it was near the end. Um, one of our teammates was being a fucking imbecile. Well, I have it recorded. Um, he was taking the flag back. He was in the middle of it, and at some point he kind of just watches it. It looks like he just watches an enemy walk right up, right like 5 feet away from him, snatch the flag, and he doesn't seem to notice it, or at least not recognize that it's an enemy. And so I I tell you, like, when I saw that happen in the death cam, I was done. I was so done. And then like at the end, it was the same guy. He had the audacity to try and tell us how the fucking to capture the flag, because you know when your flag is away, you can't capture the enemy flag, and
Right.
Yes.
so and so our dipshit teammate apparently didn't know that because my cousin couldn't capture the flag because it was away. Our flag was away. We couldn't score, but our genius teammate just kept shooting at the hole, at the flag hole. Like we gotta capture it. We could not capture it. And like once we lost the game, once the game ended, he types in chat. he had the audacity to type in chat, like, score the flag. What the fuck are you doing? Like,
So in summation, not much really needs to be fixed on the game aside from the players themselves.
it might as well be, to be honest, because like, I kind of forgot why I went on that tangent. I'll be real.
We were just talking about stuff.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
So